Started. 9, 8, 7, 6.
Record.
5.
Record.
3, 2. We are live. We are live.
We are live.
Hello everyone, good evening, and I welcome all our viewers right now and our three panelists. Today we are starting a new series which is called Let's Talk Live. And the topic that we have taken for today's discussion is the concerns, issues, and questions for the youth or the millennials, so to say, during the lockdown. So, these questions and concerns that we have got today were gathered by our team, our young team, over social media platforms like Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp. We were floating these questions from past 2-3 days. There were Q&As, there were polls that we circulated. So to get a fair idea about what's going on in our millennials' lives these days and how this lockdown or this COVID crisis has affected our lives. So we've got a range of questions. So we'll be taking those questions and we'll be taking those issues wise one by one. So before we jump on to the questions, I would like our speakers to introduce us briefly about who they are and what brings them here today. So I'll begin with Harsimran Viji. Can you, sir?
Sure, thanks a lot. Good evening, everyone. I am Harsimran. So just to introduce myself, I've been working with corporates. I've been working with children of all ages. And what I do is that I train them to be more confident, whether it's a professional workplace or the personal workplace. I'm looking forward to this discussion. We've had a look at the questions. So we've received some very specific and pointed questions from all the children, from all the parents, the students, and so-called millennials as well. And I think this discussion that we have, there are two aspects that we need to look at this entire framework that we have before us. One is from a thought perspective. So when I say thought perspective, we plan to understand at the thinking level, what is it that's going through the minds of all the children and all the participants. And the second and equally important is the action perspective, which means that it's not just going to be something that you think about and feel good, but it's going to be something that once you leave the session, you will know that if I apply these things, it will help me in the way I conduct myself, especially during the course of this period of lockdown. Back to you, Arsh.
Yeah. Thank you, Viji. I will hope that we'll unravel more of your thought processes during the discussion. So over to you, Ratan, Viji.
Thanks, Arshu. So I am a chartered accountant by profession, and I have been working with PricewaterhouseCoopers for the last 3.5 years. And it has been a good journey for me from professional perspective as well as from my personal perspective. I started working with basics of Sikhi around about same time as I started with PwC. So yeah, it has been a good journey altogether for me. And as far as this lockdown is concerned, I think it has had a big impact on me from my career and professional perspective. Reason being, because I was planning to move out, move to some other place, for which I had to resign from a well-paying, good job in which I was pretty settled. And I had some good opportunities at the other side. And now I have left the job that I have, and I don't have the opportunities also.
Oh,
so from
we're
that
gonna have
perspective,
first off information today.
yeah. So I mean, despite of that, I'm able to smile. So that's the good thing. So this is what I would like to discuss today. What is that thing that would still keep you going?
Yeah, thank you for that, Viji. I hope that you will bring the more first-hand perspective here because you have actually been experiencing the lockdown. Now over to you, Avneet Penji.
I am Avneet Kaur and I'm a psychologist and a life coach by profession. For the last 15 years, I have been working with human beings, helping each being discover the potential that is lying right within and helping each one tap this latent energy. I think we all have the power to succeed. We all have the power to make an influence. Yet a lot of it is untapped. Have been an EQ practitioner, so work a lot on emotional intelligence. And I think the journey is all about discovering yourself, and then using and that understanding to make an influence on yourself and your environment around. So I truly believe the way forward in any at any point in time is that you tap the inner being and then you utilize it to heal and help and support the environment. So that's what I've been very deeply into. Although I began my career as a scientist, I was researching into sciences, and then I thought human beings are more interesting people to work with. And today, the whole idea of bringing Let's Talk Life is emerging from that understanding of that there is a lot of concern. We understand that. I think as counselors, as psychologists, our phone lines have been constantly busy and occupied, knowing that there's a lot of turmoil that's going on within. And each one of us is affected in many, many different ways. Like we just heard in the panel, how our experiences within the four of us are so unique and different. And going through these feelings of distress and feeling burnt out or feeling anxious or worried, I think it's just very, very normal part of going through a distressed situation. But like
Yeah.
how we heard Harsimran Viji bring our attention towards, and how Ratan Viji says that I am able to smile. So I think today's idea of today's webinar was that let's see what is that difference, what brings out the difference, because the times are tough for each one of us, yet how we are able to create different meaning for each one of us, and what is it that's different about the way we are looking at life, the way we are processing life, that creates this different outcome. I think that's where we'll keep our focus today as well.
Yeah, thank you. I now, after listening to all those introductions, I feel that we'll have a lot of variety on plate today. And I'm sure our viewers will get different perspectives to understand how their life concerns are and how we can mold it them to actually keep smiling, not from just outside, but from
Yeah.
inside as well. So without wasting more time, I think we have a lot of questions, a lot of concerns to discuss. So we'll move on, and then so the first set of questions which we should be looking at is the part where the youth have written us that how they are not able to go out, not able to go out, chill with their friends, hang out with their friends. So a lot of socializing part is missing. And actually, in one of the Instagram polls we had floated, the polls that we got the highest was they are missing their favorite people. So I hope that their favorite peoples are people that they're talking about are their friends or their loved ones. So this is one of the main issues that we're gonna talk about. And they're missing face-to-face interaction, and they feel that staying at home is boring. So basically, the point we would be focusing right now is the socializing point where they're missing going out and they miss their favorite people. So I would want Harsimran Viji to start about his perspective on this thing and how do we understand the situation and how do we reflect upon it.
Sure, sure. Thanks, Harsh. So, Arshad, I have worked with over 25 to 30,000 people. And if there is one thing that I can say without a fraction of a doubt, is that man, when I say man, I'm of course referring to both the genders, is that man is a social being. Now, when I say a social being, I mean that by our default, by our design, over a period of time, we have expanded beyond boundaries. We've
Yeah.
reached out across our cities, across our states, across countries. And now suddenly there comes a phenomenon which is restricting us to the four walls of our home. Now, this is something which goes against our basic design. So this period that we have, we need to understand that this thing that we are stuck with, being within the four walls of a house, is it something that's going to go away, or is it something that's going to be here with us? Now, there is something known as cause and there is something known as effect. The cause of the environment right now is a global phenomenon, is some virus that originated at some point that's unfortunately reaching our homes now. And the effect is that we tend to feel isolated, we tend to feel bored. Our desire of just going out there, watching a movie, that simple intimate touch, a handshake, a hug, a hello, all those things that we used to take for granted are things that we are being deprived of.
Yeah.
So we need to understand that the cause is separate from the effect. The cause is external, but the effect that we are speaking is what we are feeling on the inside. This feeling of boredom, this feeling of being disassociated and disconnected. So I believe that's the starting point for all of us to understand that what we are doing is different from what's happening to us. So the external
Yeah.
factor is what is happening to us, whereas what we are doing, some people say we are stuck with our families, we have to kill time, not even
Yeah.
passing time. Imagine we've considered ourselves to be so strong that we are saying we are going to kill time now. Time
Yeah.
which defines us is something that we are saying we will define you now. So I think
Yeah.
that's the first point. We need to understand that this is something which is beyond our control. And once we see that as a starting point, then is where we can move towards finding a way out of it, finding how it is that we can, stay connected with people, look at online platforms and all those things. So that's the first step, to understand that this is something which is beyond our control.
Right.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. What would you want to add, Benji, about it?
I was just, while I was thinking about how they're so concerned and it's so obvious and it's so natural. But I was remembering this very interesting story I heard about this guy who was looking for happiness in life. You know, he had run all over the world trying to find happiness, and rich, wealthy being, he had everything that you could think of. And yet he thought, I don't know what is the whole secret of happiness. So I'm wanting. So he finds this person who apparently is a guru of happiness, who makes sure everybody finds what they're looking for. So he gets to them and he says, can you tell me what happiness is about? How do I get happiness in life? And since he's heard so much about him, he's gone with all his trust finally to this guy, that maybe you will be able to tell me, guide me, how do I find happiness? So while he's sitting down, this guy says, okay, can you bring all your wealth? Can you bring me all that you have, all that belongs to you, to help me understand what constitutes happiness for you? So he
Yeah.
brought everything that he had, he put it in front of him. So he says, can just sit there, relax, let's try understanding what happiness is all about. So the moment this person closes his eyes, this guru, he takes all his wealth, all his belongings, everything away from him, and he runs as fast as he can away from this guy. And of course, he senses some sound and he opens his eyes and he can see everything that belongs to him going away in a moment. And he's like, I came looking for happiness. Ye to loot gaya, mera to sab kuch le gaya. So he, of course, runs as fast as he can to chase and bring back what belongs to him and what was giving him happiness. He runs and runs and runs, and unfortunately is unable to get to him and get hold of him. And finally, disappointed, disheartened, कि जो सिगा वो भी हाथ तो चला गया. What I had, what was at least making me happy, that's also gone, and now so remorseful, so regretful.
Yeah.
After so in the evening, while by the time he's disappointed and he's losing all hope, suddenly this guru starts appearing in front of him, and the moment he sees him, he's like, I need to get catch hold of him. And he actually walks back to him and he returns everything that belongs to him back. And suddenly there's such a huge smile on his face. Now think about it for a moment. He's got all that he lost, everything's come back to him, so his happiness knows no end. And that's when he just very simply points out, this is exactly what happiness is. It is as simple to discover happiness. You first take away the things that we take for granted, and then you give those very things back. You'll realize and you'll discover happiness, which means let's think about it for a moment. When we had that life that we had pre-COVID, so of course, in times to come, we will start talking about, we'll start hearing people say pre-COVID and post-COVID, because
Yeah.
our lives would have changed so much. So if I took look at the pre-COVID times, I think even then we were struggling. We had complaints, we had challenges, but at that time maybe they were different. We were complaining about, oh my god, so much traffic, oh my god, I have to get up in the morning so early, I have long working hours, I have so much stress, I don't have family time, I don't have holidays. I think that's the time when we were complaining about those. And today, if that time has gone, now all that we want is that time to come back. We're waiting for that same routine. We want it back. So I think this is universal's way. This is the universal energy's way to help us discover what happiness is, take it away from us. And maybe now we're all waiting, कब वो दिन आएगा, लॉकडाउन कब खुलेगा. पहले 14th अप्रैल को चेस कर रहे थे, अब शायद 3rd of May को चेस कर रहे हैं, और शायद अगर मोदी जी ने ना बढ़ा दिया तो बस ये चेस करते करते अब वेट कर रहे हैं वो वापस आ जाए. But एक पल ले, let's think about it. What if this is the normal and that was not normal? What if this is the normal? This is the way we were meant to be. And are we again making the same mistake that we're getting something now, we're getting another opportunity, and just because we have a certain way of thinking, that we always look at the dark spot in the whole white wall, we look at the negative, we look at the dark cloud, and we forget to look at the silver lining. Maybe even in those times pre-COVID, even today, that we're not able to appreciate, acknowledge what we've got in the moment. So I think maybe the challenges are there, of course, there's no doubt about it. Yet there is a lot of perception that we've built, and maybe it's the same people who were struggling at that time. We're struggling even today in these times.
Yeah, right. VG, Ratan VG, what are your views about this?
Okay, so I'm taking cue from what Harsimran said, that human beings are social beings. I would like to add to it that we are not just social. Human beings are wholesome beings. There is social being. Social is a part of it. However, there exists another part of me, which is me, which resides with me. Uh, as the human race have progressed with all the advent of internet and all the stuff that we have available right now, these social media apps and everything that is there, we have somehow forgot that there used to exist a me with whom I was supposed to sit. I mean, if you see, there's an issue with the eyes. The eyes that we have, we can only see outside. The moment we close the eyes, they won't see inside. There would only be darkness. This is how our perception has become now. As long as we see outside, we see our friends, we see our colleagues, we see our relatives, we see different people, different things going around, we find happiness, we align our happiness to those things. But as soon as we close our eyes, as soon as we try to come within, we feel that there is darkness, while in essence there is not. In essence, there is light which is emitting from within. This is what Guru Nanak has been telling us all this while. Kabir would vehemently say again and again, Bande khoj dil har roj. It is your duty to go within, dwell within yourself. You cannot dwell within yourself while going out with your friends. I think it is the best time in our lives. We are never going to get such a time which we can spend with ourselves in trying to understand who am I, what am I, from where I have come, where I am right now, and where this would lead me. And taking cue from what Avneet Penji said regarding, so she said a very wonderful thing, like before COVID, there were struggles in your life. With COVID, there are struggles in your life. You were complaining before it, you are complaining during it, and you might be complaining after it as well. The issue is not COVID, the issue is you. It is you who's supposed to change. It is you who's supposed to work on yourself. Situations and circumstances has never been in your control. What is in your control is your approach, how you approach that thing, how you respond to it. And regarding the happiness thing, which so the issue with us is that we have always aligned our happiness with temporary things. That is why we see our happiness coming and going, coming and going. So take, for example, if I find myself very happy, very cheerful with a friend of mine, I will have to admit that one day either of us has to go. This is something which should come as an acceptance. I mean, there is no point of fretting about it that one day there will be no him or there will be no me. Now, that doesn't mean bringing in the negativity and not having that bond with them or not enjoying that thing with them. The idea is to enjoy it as long as you get it. The moment it's not there, your enjoyment should not stop. And I hope during the course of this talk, this discussion, we will find ways of how we can develop this thing. If you are the problem, how we can focus on ourselves and nurture ourselves into being a solution rather than being a problem.
Yeah, so probably that's why we are having today's session, because we're going to understand ourselves, and how do we take control of our reactions and what is going within inside us, rather than focusing what's out there. Because if we are always focused and attached to what's out there, then we will always be in that trap where we'll be upset about life before COVID, while COVID, and after COVID. So yes,
so
and
just one thing to add here, there's an interesting word in Hindi called udas. So udas ko English mein when we translate it, we say upset. So udas it never meant to be upset. Ud as means khud se as, khud mein asan. Ud is khud. With yourself, you should be able to sit with yourself. Khud ke saath baithna, khud ke andar asan lagana. This was being udas. So there is a sect also called udasi panth. So the idea is to sit with yourself understand you first, you being the center. However, it has now overturned into something different.
Yeah, our center is quite dispersed, I believe. It's not here, it's everywhere out there. So let's
Yeah.
just hope that by the end of this session, we'll have some idea of what the center is and how we can go within.
Yeah.
So the next set of questions is quite relating to what we have just discussed. It's about the fact that now we don't have the older routine, we don't have the older life pattern we had. So, and that is gone, but we're not able to establish a new routine. So the old lifestyle, old routine of going out to work, going out for workout, and then going to the gurdwara, probably waking up in the morning, doing amrit vela exercise. So all these fixed patterns like we were living in are not there anymore, and the new routines are not being established. So how do we address that question?
I think a lot of times, of course, the corporate world will keep telling us get into structures. The more structured your routine is, the more productive you will be, the more effective the outcomes and results you'll be able to produce. But I think when I look at a lot of us as individuals, as youngsters, I come across that a lot of things that we are doing during the day that are consuming our time, and we like to call it with that I'm busy, and we all like to be busy all the time, and maybe that's emerging from what Ratanviji just brought our attention towards, that we want to be busy because maybe the time when we are without a stimulation from the environment, from the outside, I suddenly have to face myself, and it is the self that I am the most uncomfortable with. I think just turning that lens inwards is so discomforting, because there I will have to come and meet all my thoughts, all my feelings, and I don't know what to do with them. Iska karu to karu kya? So the best way is shut it out and be busy somewhere or the other. So we kept ourselves busy all the time. एक अजीब सा खालीपन है जिंदगी में, और उस खालीपन को भरने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, चाहे वो सोशलाइज करके कर रहे हैं, चाहे वो स्क्रीन्स के साथ कर रहे हैं, चाहे वो किसी मटेरियल के साथ कर रहे हैं, चाहे वो शॉपिंग है, घूमना फिरना है, या ड्रिंकिंग है, किसी ना किसी की चीज के साथ उस खालीपन, उस वॉइड को भरने की कांस्टेंट कोशिश थी। वो पहले भी थी, और अब वो जो बाहर से स्टिमुलेशन नहीं मिल पा रही है या वहां तक नहीं पहुंच रहे, so now it's become even harder. That now what do I do? So I was talking to some of the youngsters yesterday and helping them think that, you know what, where we've missed out is the ability to get bored. When was the last time you let yourself be bored? So wo jo udasi hai, I think that's a beautiful part to our life. And just sitting, actually doing nothing, and maybe initially it'll start by being bored because there's now no stimulation from the environment. And then once you get used to being bored and you accept that, okay, I have nothing to do, now what will you do? Because your mind will still be into something, you'll probably turn the lens inwards. And inwards, maybe when you will turn it, you're something that you have been running away for so long in our life, something that we never wanted to come to face with. Today is the time, it's the opportunity. Maybe we can turn inwards and see what lies there, because within each one of us lies the potential, within each one of lies all the answers, within each one of us lies the ultimate truth. It's not there on the internet, it's not there only on Google, it's not only with one or two people here on the screen, it's with each one of us. But just that some of them have been fortunate that they turned the lenses inwards and found that truth, and some of us are just seeking stimulation, happiness from things outside of them. And that is why this new routine, because say if, and I also think, I think we get addicted to the source than the process. What I mean to say is that, okay, if you had a routine of going to the gym, why were you going to the gym? So gym is not the output, gym is not what you're creating, gym is only a medium that will get you through, that will help you attain what, maybe physical fitness. Now in the changing times, adaptability क्या है, intelligence क्या है, ability to adapt. तो अडेप्टेशन क्या कहती है कि एनवायरनमेंट में कुछ चेंज आया है, उस चेंज को मैं रिस्पॉन्ड करके, अगर मुझे फिटनेस मेरे लिए इंपॉर्टेंट है, इट्स समथिंग दैट आई वैल्यू फॉर माई सेल्फ, लेट मी क्रिएट अपॉर्चुनिटीज फॉर training myself and keeping myself fit within this scenario. And I think दो चीजें एक साथ हो जाएंगी. कोविड के साथ हमारे पास domestic helps नहीं है. There is already dearth of people who can come and support us in the house. So while you want to be fit, let us pick up the jharu and the pocha and let us start doing that. And that's a way to keep yourself fit. Or go to the terrace and run. All I'm trying to say is, It is simple problem solving. It's a no-brainer. You will find the solution. But where he gets stuck is, oh no, I can't go to the gym. And my obsession was gym, not what I was getting with it. My obsession was I have to have coffee with friends. I have to go clubbing with friends, and that's my happiness. Or was happiness about spending time with them, exchanging ideas, sharing those emotions with them, which can happen even today where with all these medium. But we thought, no, it has to be in a certain setup. There has to be a certain protocol. And the more we get stuck with the physicality of things, I think that is where attachments begin. And that's what Ratan Viji was bringing our attention towards, that because of these attachments, when the system changes, when there's a little shift, we start feeling unhappy.
True. Arshta, just to add to that, I think that's a very fresh perspective that Avneet brought. I'm going to talk about two things. Now, one, I was watching this series on Amazon. This was around Australia cricket's revival. So since a lot of children like following cricket, so I thought, why don't I bring an analogy and try to compare the two things right now? So Australia, when they faced a ball tampering scandal, over the next few months, their biggest challenge was to build up a team of not just good cricketers, but good people.
Yeah.
They wanted to have a team of good Australian people, good Australian citizens. So Justin Langer was appointed as their coach. Now he said, my first priority is not to get them to win. My first priority is to make sure that there are processes set up in place. And if they follow those processes, eventually they will get to a point when they start winning. Now, one of the challenges that I see people have nowadays is, be it kids or even adults for that matter, that we've never had 24 hours in a day all to ourselves. We've never had 24 hours in a day all to ourselves for 1 week.
Yeah.
We've never had 24 hours to ourselves for 1 week, for entire 1 month, and maybe even more. And right now, this abundance of time, Interstellar showed that time is a 4 dimension. Eventually, we will control it, but right now, it is controlling us. So,
Yeah.
this abundance of time is something that we've never really faced. And now, when you go online, you look at things like Instagram, Facebook, you have people cooking, you have someone making some random food, some random video of them cooking something, and then you think you want to become a cook as well. Then you have a husband and wife putting up a video of them doing some physical exercise, and then you think you want to do that as well. Then you realize you're not even married, so that makes you even sadder. So there are a lot of things that people want to do. And most of these aspirations come from things that we watch online.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. We'll come to that. I think we have a lot of questions with the online content because I
Sure,
think we can't do without that.
sure.
So,
Now, when
Vijay, do
we
you want
see,
to? Yeah.
sure. Right. So
No,
I'll
yeah.
just finish that. So when we see all these things, we end up being in a position that we compare us with them. And when we
Yeah.
us with them, we end up being not who we are, but we end up being
Yeah.
what someone else is. And in that process, that is where boredom comes. Ratan mentioned the word udas, udas being upset, sadness, boredom. That is where boredom comes when you try to imitate someone else. So that can be used as maybe a second or a third step in the process, that you must, like Ratan brilliantly mentioned, that you must look within. While you're doing that, identify what is your forte, what are the things you can do well. And then as you do that, you will eventually stop looking outside.
Yeah, I think the takeaway for this would be that how can we actually widen our horizons, because our thought process are so limited. We just see what's there in front of us and we don't want to explore, we don't want to reflect, and maybe we're not finding solutions to the problem. We are just stuck that why am I not able to go to the gym? We are just stuck there. Why is not our capabilities enhanced to think about the solutions and making the best about out of what we have right now? So, and of course, if we are still stuck there, then definitely that's going to lead to a lot of stress. So our next set of questions is about stress. So one of my friends, she actually wrote to me that I sometimes feel that maybe we'll never be able to go back to the normal again. So like Penji said, what if this is the new normal? So can we talk more about it, because these kinds of thoughts in our mind is leading to a lot of anxiety, depression, overthinking, and yeah. So what about that? I think Penji is an expert in mental health, so we'll begin with her.
So I think whilst we all had grown up learning and through our language courses that there are three tenses. There is a past tense, there's a present tense, and there's a future tense. But I don't know if that's really true for all of us. I think most of us only know of two tenses. We only know of two spaces to be in. If we observe ourselves, most of the time, our mind is in two zones. It's either in the past or it's in the future. Either I'm comparing it with what was there, what was happening, and how it was at that time, or I'm thinking about, oh my God, what next and how will I? So, like for VG, and if you were in a situation like this, you'd be fretting over that, oh my God, what happens to my change? Now I don't have a job, I have nowhere to go, what will happen, blah, blah, blah. So you're constantly thinking about the future. And the more and more we stay in that zone, it is just very natural and normal to feel anxious and feel worried and concerned, because what you're trying to be in a zone which you have no control whatsoever over. You cannot control that time frame. As much as we try to, as much as we want to plan and structure and order every single thing about our life, but how we were having a laugh that what happened to our plans, like all the plans that we all had made with 2020. Yeah, what happened to those plans? And I think the more plans we
Yeah.
make and the more expectations we set of what I want my life to take path towards and what I want out of it and how I want it, the more is our upsetness, the more expectations I set of myself, the more goals and more hard goals. Now, that does not mean I'm saying don't aspire. But what I'm saying is that even if you aspire, don't think and don't lay conditions that it must be met and that's the only way my life will be happy. I think when we lay down that very strong condition that that's how I want to be, I think this is a very beautiful moment and time that has been given to us to get a reality check for
Yeah.
people or biggest powers. I think I said that yesterday as well. For biggest powers who thought they were superpowers, they had everything in control, they were able to rule the world. Today even they have been helped to think, stop and reflect that are you really the power and do you really think you can control the world? I think for each one of us also it's a moment of truth for us that life is not going to run by my suppositions and my fancies. It has an order. There is a hukam in this world. We are running under a divine order. There is, or whether you like to call it universal power, energy, law, hukam, whatever you may want to call it, it's beyond me. That's very clear. And the more I can, so these two tenses that we have consumed our lives with are creating a lot of distress for us, whether it is feeling inadequate, whether it's feeling inefficient. The comparison that I'm making, that oh I didn't do this in the past, मैंने सुबह से time waste किया हुआ है, मैं वो ये कर रहा है मैं तो नहीं कर पा रहा, तो वो past में जा रहे हैं, या मुझे ये करना है और नहीं हो पाएगा तो क्या होगा, अगर ऐसा नहीं हुआ तो क्या होगा, ये चीज सही ना हुई, ये अभी 10 दिन और ना खुला, 2 महीने और ना खुला तो क्या होगा, अगर ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ frame से चलाएंगे, it will constantly cause us distress. I think the third unexplored time frame, the time zone that we haven't learned and discovered yet, is the present. And
Yeah.
maybe this is the biggest present that comes with COVID that we can give to ourselves. The gift it has brought along is let us start choosing to be in the present. I am a being, we are beings, and beings need to be in the moment, be here, be in the now. And I think the more we can stay in the now, the lesser and lesser distress we may feel. Because if I look at now, what's wrong with my now? I'm able to breathe. I have the opportunity. I have food in my house. I am safe in the four walls of my house. For most of us, I think I can't say it for everybody on the planet today, but for a lot of us who are right now enjoying watching a YouTube video, a lot of things are right at the moment. Yet my focus is on what's wrong. So there is a lens, there is a perspective, and it is all about changing those lenses. I think the moment you bring your attention towards now, and actually a lot is right, a lot is okay. Now, and if we were to see what's right in this situation, maybe we'll be able to appreciate, and the feeling of distress will go much lower.
Yeah.
Harsh, to add to what Avneet just said, I think just focusing on now versus the past or the present is, of course, a very interesting and a very important thing to do. The challenge then becomes that now is not a single dimension. Theoretically speaking, now is this moment wherein you be. But right now is not single dimension. This has been expanded by all the things that people are doing around us. You know, when you see someone reading a book, someone doing X thing, someone doing another thing, becoming a pro at it, are now suddenly comes under a lot of pressure. And this reminds me of a movie that I saw once. This is Son of Manjeet Singh. It's a very popular Punjabi movie. I wonder if any one of you would have seen it. I saw this last year. Now, this is about a young child. He's around 12 or 13 years of age, probably a fourth, sixth, seventh standard. Now, this kid loves to play cricket. Every day he would love to play cricket, while his dad has taken a loan to make sure that his business is running, that the child's education is taken care of. And this child is not interested with the studies, not at all. And so he's getting low marks. He's running after one tuition and after another tuition, while the dad is running, trying to make ends meet. And eventually something happens. I won't ruin the movie by giving a spoiler, but something happens because of which this child gets injured. Now, what does the father do? The father takes a cricket bat or a hockey stick, takes some sporting equipment, goes to the school of the child, asks where the staff room is, goes straight into the staff room, bolts the door, and he sees that all the teachers are sitting in there. So the father goes to the English teacher and asks the English teacher, when was the Indian Republic formed? Some history question. The teacher didn't know. Then he goes to the maths teacher and he asks the maths teacher, कि इस sentence में इसका he gives them some Hindi question, you know, इसका मतलब बताओ या इसका opposite करो, om vilom, something of that sort. The maths teacher doesn't know this. Then he goes to a history teacher and asks a history teacher a trigonometry question. The teacher doesn't know this. So he goes to each one of these teachers and he asks them a question about someone else's subject. And none of them knew this. And then the father bangs a hockey stick on the table and then he says that if you don't know the basics about other teachers' subjects, how do you expect my child to know everything that all of you are teaching? And in the process of doing this, by running around, going tuition after tuition, all that stress of getting good marks, the child is now injured and can't even attend school. Forget about playing cricket. So I think when we focus on the now, which Abid spoke of, the objective should be to keep it unidimensional. If we try to expand that now by bringing a lot of things into a realm, we end up doing nothing. And that is where setting a process is so very critical. I have a fixed routine of getting up in the morning. These are the 4 things I do when I wake up. These are the 4 things I do during the day. These are the 4 things I do before I sleep. And every single day, I keep a score. How many things was I able to knock off? Because if you have a process in place, the result eventually comes down as well.
But I think somewhere we are a little confused because Penny said about having a different idea of having a routine, and then it's quite contradictory. So maybe we'll put into perspective with some questions. Or do you want to?
So if I could, and I think we'll have to see that no one formula will fit all. And I think the mistake we've been making forever is trying to fit into a formula that belongs to somebody else. Let us understand our core. Let us understand our true nature. Some people like to flow and some people like to structure. They work better with structures. Like how VT says, he wakes up in the morning and he exactly knows what he wants to do at what time and the pleasure he gets by ticking and knocking them off during the day. But if I were to talk about myself, if somebody gave me that structure, I think I would not even like to wake up. I would rather be in bed with the thought that, oh my God, it is already predetermined for me. I have to follow it. And that whole thought of I have to do it will come, because maybe that spontaneity that I enjoy in every moment is taken away. The freedom that I can choose each moment and see what I want to do with this moment. And now in this moment, what would I like to create is taken away. And that doesn't let me breathe. But that's because organically we are different. We're structured different. We are different processing systems. And his processing system on mine, so usually it's like using an Android software on an Apple machine. It's not gonna work. Let's respect these different operating systems.
Absolutely.
And that's what it is about, understanding your core, discovering what is it my innate nature and what systems will work better for me. For some, but I think when we visualized and imagined game of life, we were talking about that there has been a lot of conditioning that we have been put through that has told us that there is a certain way. I'll take a simple example. When you play the game of snakes and ladders, and I think all of us watching today must have played it at some point or time in our life. Why did you start playing that game in the first place? What was the whole point of playing that game? I think we all picked it up because we wanted to enjoy, we wanted to have fun. We were getting bored, there was nothing much to do, and we thought this would be a nice way to connect and have fun, right? 10 minutes down the line in that game, what are you playing for? Are you playing for fun, for connection, for building relationship, or are you playing to win? Are you playing to cross the other one over? Are you waiting frantically for that ladder to come? Are you disappointed to the core the moment that snake hits you? Are you only focused towards reaching that 100? And probably we set our mind over there. Let's say reaching hundreds as fast as I can is my only purpose of this game. And you
Yeah.
reach there. Then what? Then what? I want to bring your attention, my dear, the game is over. The moment you reach 100, the game is over. You don't enjoy after that. Now let's bring it into perspective. Was the game about reaching 100, or was the game about enjoying the moment, the process of being in that game?
Yeah.
If we were to just realign and reshift, all right, eventually there is a big purpose that I'm governed towards, but I'm forgetting that probably what I thought was the end goal was never the end goal. Maybe the goal, the whole objective of my playing the game was to reconnect, rebond, and to enjoy. We enjoyed the process. We can also have fun during the process. In fact, by the end of it, the moment you reach the end and you win, the game is over. There's no chance of enjoying. But the world taught us the other way around. The world made us believe that you will only like it. It's only happiness when you win.
Yeah,
So
this
maybe a
reminds me
shift.
of a very, very beautiful example that we say that the journey is enjoy the journey more than the destination. So enjoy
More
the
than the
process more than,
destination.
because it's
Yeah,
always like whenever we are traveling, we are very excited when we're on the road trip. We're looking at the scenery around, what's there. It's much more
yeah,
important
true,
than reaching the destination at that
true.
moment. And also, I also this like Penji said, that it's very important to know what fits you, what makes you better at what you're doing, understanding your own self and then applying something rather than just getting influenced by what other people say. And actually we have a lot of time right now to experiment, to understand that what system suits me to become a better person in what I'm doing.
Right.
So that time is something that we have. So taking on to the stress part even
No,
more,
so
yeah,
regarding the stress
yeah.
first, I mean, this is me who should be saying things about stress a lot. I mean, I should have been the first one to comment on it. So, so these two are saying from what they have heard, what they've learned. I'll come from directly the personal perspective, which has affected me. So, just a couple of weeks back, I mean, it was more like this that I had to leave the job because by the end of this month, I was supposed to be in a new place and starting my new gig. All of a sudden, a couple of weeks back, I realized that everything that was planned, I mean, everything that was looking very positive, very perfect, is almost shattered.
Yeah.
And I was in deep worry. I was stressed like hell. So, in such a time, I generally reach out to my people's manager. So in corporate, they'd use this term people's manager. People's manager would be a person, it's like who will give you the task, who will review your whatever you have done on those tasks, and then accordingly at the end of the year or after some time, they appraise you and give you promotions and increments and whatever. So when I reached out to my people's manager, he said just one line. When I was so worried, he said, "So karta chinta kare, jin upaya jag." Why the hell are you worried? It is not your job description. It was never a part of your JD. It is who has created this earth is supposed to be worried about how to manage it. You are not the creator. You are just a normal human being in there. You're not supposed to be worried about things. I mean, worrying is something should be the last thing on your list because this you cannot do anything by worrying. The moment I realized it, as soon as that worry and negativity part went out of the mind, so our mind has this tendency to be filled up with things. So if that worry, stress, and negative part is out, it will immediately be followed by the positivity thing.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I realized that this was not a stressful situation for me. It was a huge opportunity for me. As soon as I realized that, I had two things at my hand which I could not pursue. 6 months back, I enrolled in a course which was an international designation that I always wanted to pursue but could not because of my job. All of a sudden, I could pursue that. Now I have got good 2 months to prepare myself, appear in that examination, and have an international credential by my name. I never had this good an opportunity ever in my life. I purchased a guitar a year back. Never, I could not pull it out of its sack. Now I have the opportunity to learn it and learn it via online classes. I mean, there are various apps like Udemy, and so there is one called StudyTube. They are providing free of cost courses online. There is a hell of a material available online if you intend to be positive and want to make something out of it. I mean, the thing that was supposed to be hugely stressful for me has turned out to be a beautiful opportunity for me just because a line that my people's manager told me. I think it is time that we start to, like what her Simran earlier said, that he has this approach of thoughts and actions. I generally call it thoughts, perspective, and then action. So वो कहते हैं नजरें बदली नजारे बदले. When you see the world with a different perspective, the world changes, at least for you. And this is the time when the world has changed, at least for me.
Yeah, right. Very, very beautifully said. I think our viewers need to take on their pens and papers because there's a lot of tips for them to deal with their everyday problems. So, like you just mentioned that there are array of things that we can do, from online courses to learning an instrument, and there are a lot of things that I think millennials are already aware about. But at the same time, there is also this issues where even we want to do something ourselves, we want to explore, we want to sit by ourselves, understand ourselves, invest time in something which makes us happy. There is a lot of fights or strain in relationship within the families. So because people are not used to of staying together for like 24/7, and there are too many people in the family, or maybe there is a strain in the relationship, there's a lack of personal space, there is no me time, and there's a lot of interference. So how do we deal with all of that and then come back to us?
I think in these times that we are, and by the time we move out of it, I very clearly see there'll be two kinds of people. There'll be one set of people who would get out of this situation and would have thrived and grown. Like Ratan Viji said, the moment they put their mind in perspective and the moment they can shift that thinking a little bit, they would have grown leaps and bounds. This will be their moment, their opportunity to be able to add so many more dimensions to themselves and then also dive in deep and discover themselves. And then the second kind of people will be the ones who are starting to perish, whose life will be out of balance, whose lives will be out of control, who would be fumbling and who would be struggling. I have been saying this consistently that probably the virus will not affect as many people, as many will be affected because of their mental health issues or their social issues, the relationship issues that we are trying figuring out. The first 1 week of lockdown, you suddenly saw a lot of videos coming in and people sharing happy stories because it was like, oh wow, this is like our honeymoon period, this is when I get to meet my family and spend all the family time. Our honeymoon period is over, that time
Yeah.
is gone. Now reality is biting. Now I'm stuck with this person, I'm stuck with these family people, and I don't know where to go. There were people who were contemplating long holiday with family and are now are feeling, oh god, why did I even wish for it? Yeah, who wanted a time with their husbands or their life partners and are thinking, oh god, ye kya maang liya? I think the organic difference between these two people is, I want to bring an analogy here. The pressure from the environment is coming on both. They both have insecure futures, they
Yeah.
both have had challenges. It's the similar kind of pressure on almost all of us surrounded here. When I look at this stick and I apply some pressure, the moment I put some pressure to it, do you see what happens?
It breaks.
It breaks. It's shattered. But if I were to bring our focus towards this and I apply pressure, same amount of pressure, and even more pressure, and even more pressure, and even more pressure, do you see what happens? It has the ability to bounce back. It has the ability to come back. So there must be a key difference in these two that is creating a different outcome from the same cause. So the cause and effect, like VG brought out earlier, the cause is the same. Both are experiencing the same situation. And that situation, that pressure जो बाहर से आ रहा है, वो हमारे हाथ में ना कभी था ना कभी होगा. हम सब उसको कंट्रोल करने की कोशिश में लगे रहते हैं कि ये प्रेशर्स मैं किसी तरह से कंट्रोल कर लूं. पर मुझे समझ में जो आया है the pressure will never be in my control. What I may be able to influence is, can I change my inherent attitude? Because I think this one has a very different attitude from this. I think the flexibility that it has, the ability, the resilience it has, the ability to come back and put things in perspective and bounce back that it has, is such a beautiful way this one is able to reshape their life and get back in control. When we look at the life challenge, the fights, the relationship strain that we are noticing, I think it is also coming from an inner world which is at unrest. Like Ratanvi ji brought out, हम दुनिया को वैसे नहीं देखते जैसे दुनिया है, हम दुनिया को वैसे देखते हैं जैसे हम हैं. Our internal lens creates my reality outside. Right now, that inner disturbance is also creating a lot of disturbance around me. If I was to find some way to first settle this inner unrest, maybe the outer will also start appearing different and start changing. जो एनर्जी मेरे अंदर है, जैसे प्रेशर कुकर के अंदर जब प्रेशर बनता है तो वो सीटी मारता है और कभी कभी वो सीटी की वजह से ब्लास्ट करता है और वो सारी whatever you are cooking is all spilled over. I think we are under a tremendous pressure cooker situation, but let us realize, you know how when you learn to cook, you learn to release the pressure at the right moment so that it doesn't burst. I think we have to learn how we can put our unrest within at ease, and maybe we should spend some time as speakers, but I like VGs to add.
Sure. Thanks again, Avneet, for bringing that point. Arshut, I believe that all of us live in a world of assumptions. What makes me say that? A very simple and practical example. So this white shirt that I'm wearing, I have a tendency, I always keep the sleeve folded. Very rarely will I keep it all open. And this is a real story. I am not kidding. My younger brother comes up to me and he says, Sir Simran, why don't you buy a new shirt? And I said, okay, what's the problem with this? Looks good enough, right? And he says, no, if you buy a new shirt, you can check it for sleeve length and then you won't have to fold the sleeve. And I said, all right, hold on. This is my real brother, not a cousin, a distant cousin. And then I told him, all right, hold on. What makes you think that I'm folding it because the sleeve is not long enough? And he said, isn't that the reason? And I said, no, that's not. The reason this is folded is because I like it this way. Now, he had an assumption in his mind and he was able to counter that assumption because of one beautiful gift that all of mankind has, and that is the ability to speak. Now, because he was able to speak with me, he was able to check his assumption. I countered it and then it left his mind, and then he left that place with a new story. Now, in our homes as well, while all of us are living together, but are all of us actually living together? You know, we are living together physically, but are we living together mentally as well? Now, I understand that it's challenging for all the children of all ages, whether you go to schools, colleges, or whatever. I understand that it's challenging for them to share the space with their parents. There are some things that they need to speak on a phone call that they probably can't speak in front of their parents. There are maybe some private conversations that they need to have. Maybe they need their own me time. They don't need anyone around. Put on some music, loud music. So they have a lot of tendencies, a lot of habits that they can't just get rid of just because they're at their homes. But at the same time, from the parents' perspective, if you look at it, they expect the child to live as per a certain manner that they would like. I have my younger cousin, he's based out of Toronto. He's sleeping at 7 a.m. in the morning. Every morning he'll send me messages on Instagram, and then I'll tell him, okay, hold on, isn't it 6 or 7 in the morning? What are you even doing up at that time? And he said, I'm just about to sleep. And then when he sleeps, and I'll get a call from his mother, he says, Simran, he's not sleeping. Can you please have a word with him and put some sense into him? Now, what needs to be done is this role of an intermediary. Now, this intermediary can be maybe some parent who's looking at our YouTube channel and looking for something, some divine guidance, some intervention. But this role of an intermediary has to be destroyed. And what needs to be built is a channel that connects the parent with the child. And the only way to build that channel is by the art of speaking. They need to take out time out of their daily routines wherein the parents say how their day went. The child would say, this was how my day went. Even if you're not staying together, connect over a call. But share how was it that your day is going along. Sometimes my day would not be really good. And my mother might assume that it's a really good day. So she and I would be in a different state of mind altogether. But for us to be on the same page, it's important that we speak, communicate, we share what our day is going along like. Every time we speak, every time we share, any assumption that the other person may have will be smashed. And the benefit of that is that if both of us are at the same emotional plane, this will also ensure that any stress, any discomfort that we have at our homes would be reduced. Because then we are all thinking alike, we know what the other person is thinking like, and that time that we end up speaking with each other will smash any such assumptions that we made in the first place. So one way out of this is to ensure that both the parents, the child, anyone that you're staying with must, and I cannot stress on this enough, must communicate with each other.
Yeah, I think I would definitely agree to what you are saying, Viji. What about you? Do you want to add in something, Ratan Viji?
So I think they have summed it up pretty well. So this point of our Simran, that communication is very important in any relationship. And I somehow feel that even if you have this relationship with your guru, in that case also this communication bit is very important. We were just a while ago were discussing about a routine, and I somehow was going through it. So even your guru tells you a routine to have. Like Guru Ramdas Sache Pasha, he would tell you कि Guru Satgur Kajo Sikh Akhaye. So if you want just to be referred to, not become one, but just to be referred to as a Sikh, then you're supposed to follow this routine. And then he'll continue कि so palke ut har naam te aave, that you have to get up early in the morning and do some meditation, do naam simran. Then he would continue कि so palke ut har naam te aave. Then he would ask you ke uddam kare, palke prabhati, ishnan kare, amritsar naave, and he will give you a whole routine for the day. And at times we do fail to communicate properly with our guru. So take for example, if I'm not able to do that, then what I am? Then what should I do? Should I be stressed about not being a Sikh or not being able to even called a Sikh? I mean, these are very important things that we should be discussing. So one thing is discussing with the friends or discussing in the panel. Another thing is discussing these things directly one-to-one with the Guru himself.
Yeah.
Sure.
Definitely. So also with this, like, can we talk about discovering some new stress busters? Because I think what the stress busters we had access to before are not there any longer. So can we have a little bit of idea about that? How do we understand what the new stress busters are? How do we divert our attentions from the thoughts within and discover new things that we can do?
Sure. So when it comes to stress busters, now we must understand stress is different for different people.
Yeah.
You know, in some cases, being alone can be a matter of stress for someone, whereas in some cases, being alone can be God's greatest gift. In some cases, spending time with your family can be stress for someone. But in some cases, if you're working away, you know, if you get time to come back to your family, that can be a boon in itself. Now, the times that we live in, we need to understand that technology is playing a key role in our life. And whatever solution we need to find to beat the stress. We need to ensure that our family is in a way a part of it, because we'll be spending a lot of days. We spend almost 30 days, or another 10, 15, God knows how many days. Now 50 days out of 350 days, that's 1 by 7, that's 14% of an year that we are spending with the people that we are with right now. Now, over the past, if I were to share my own personal thing, over the past 20, 21, 25 odd days now, I speak with my family members. When I say my family, I'm talking about my mother, my brother, my brother's wife, all three of us. We have at least a good 1 to 2 hour conversations every single day. I'm staying away from all of them. I'm in Bombay, they're in different locations. So again, making use of technology, having video calls or even otherwise to make sure that you're connected. Another thing is that I'm a member of Toastmasters International. That's a public speaking NGO, and I've been a member for a good 3.5 years. They organize certain contests, they organize certain meetings, and I've also shared the links with my family. So now they are also able to see how is it that I'm spending my time. You know, they've been hearing it for the past 3 years that, okay, ये बोलता है, कहाँ पे बोलता है, क्या बोलता है, पता नहीं, बाद में he just uploads something on Facebook and Instagram. But now they are a part of that journey. So whatever little that I'm sharing, my 2 cents, the humble knowledge that I have, they have access to this. I won't be surprised if they must be watching this live on YouTube right now. So when it comes to stress buster, we cannot look at busting stress just for our own self.
Yeah.
We need to look at ways by which we can include our family in that journey. This can be maybe having calls, video calls, audio calls, even Ludo. Can you
Yeah.
imagine something? I've never understood that a family of 4 or 5 playing Ludo. I didn't understand it before this phase. You know, people sitting in different locations, you just press a button, the dice throws automatically, your pieces move automatically, you don't have to do anything. But yet you spend hours and hours trying to play that. So whatever stress buster you look at, the key to making sure that it's sustainable and not just a one-time fix is to make sure that you take your family along with it.
Yeah.
Well, the way I see a stress buster would be acceptance. So if you just accept what all is going around you, stress would not come even close to you. Like Maharaj would say कि चिंता ताकी कीजिए जो अनहोनी होए. If you want to be worried about something, जी सदके हो, you can be worried about, but make sure that that should be something which is not ought to happen. But ironically, whatever happens is always meant to happen. I mean, if you see the whole structure that we as humankind have built. So what I generally say is that wherever today I am in my life is because of the things that I've done in my past. Whatever actions I've taken has brought me to this place. Now, as a humankind, if we see, if the whole world is almost under this lockdown situation, what all actions the humankind has taken all through these years has brought us to this point. Now, it is important that going forward, what we do or what changes we bring in. I mean, if being in this situation is putting us in stress, now just see from where this stress is coming. I think Avneet Penji would agree with me that the depression thing is caused by, sustained by, and aggravated by repetition of thoughts in your mind. It has got nothing else to do. Just one thought making rotations in your mind can take you not only in stress but to depression. And it is the thought only that defines you as a human being. So I generally quote this man, एक शायर ने जैसे समझाया कि if you want to see what a human is, if you want to define a human, then he would say कि तस्वीर है उम्मीदों की आईना मलालों का. A human being, what a human being is, he is a beautiful picture of hopes. तस्वीर है उम्मीदों की आईना मलालों का. At the same time he is a mirror of guilts. इंसान और कुछ नहीं बस मुजस्मा है ख्यालों का. A human being is nothing but a mere compilation of his thoughts. I mean, in a beautiful way, he has summed up our existence. Whatever we think, so it is the grassroots level of our existence. Whatever we think is what we are. Stress is only originates, stems from our thoughts. If we are able to align our thoughts with the positive things, we can never feel that stress thing around us. And the way I got to learn about it was through acceptance. This has happened, always meant to happen, has happened. I can't do anything about it. Okay, now let's focus on what I can. Now, this mere acceptance can bring me, pull me out of the stress because now my thoughts are aligned and channelized. And the second stress buster that I generally have is when I look at the history, the Sikh history to be particular about. I mean, just think about it. What sort of stress would a Bhai Taru Singh would be in? So his scalp is being removed right away. Stress, when we talk about stress, किस चीज का stress है? भाई मेरा career है, मेरी पढ़ाई है, मेरे friends हैं, family. अगला बंदा बैठा हुआ है, his scalp is being removed. Just think about it. Or think about a Bhai Mati Das. He is being held like this and he is being sewn into half with a saw. आधे से आधे में काटा जा रहा है. And what is Bhai Mati Das saying? The Itihas says, he says कि आरा हमको लगे प्यारा. This Ari, which is about to sew me into half, I'm liking it. Reason being, can they hole jai? It is going very slowly, and all this while, all the time that this Ari is taking to tear me apart into half, I have this time to focus myself on my goal. I mean, this is so wonderful stress busters that I have. Like, इससे ज्यादा स्ट्रेसफुल सिचुएशन में मैंने अपनी लाइफ में आई वाज नेवर एवर इन सच अ स्ट्रेसफुल सिचुएशन, and despite of being there, so what I realized was it was never the outer, the physical circumstances, the materialistic things which would put me under stress. It is always my mind. If it is aligned and focused and channelized properly, stress is something which can never come to me, at least.
Now, having heard that, I would request all the viewers not to again get into the guilt trip of comparison with the shaheeds and with the gurus and how whatever stress they have been through, because that's the other trap we get into. We suddenly start feeling, oh God, I am not there yet. I am not, I don't have that kind of mindset, and I will never be able to do that. And either you start fretting it or you become guilty that why am I not? I think the key learning for all of us here is there is a difference in the way they are processing information and the way they are able to execute. There's a mindset which is different, and and maybe the right question here for us, we all will be, how do I make that ara pyara for me? Is there something I can do that one day I also reach that situation where anything happening outside, like it could be a stormy world, it could be a tornado, it could be death in my face, and it could still be in that acceptance. And what is it that I can do to reach that stage? I'm not there yet. I don't have to feel guilty about it because you're not there.
Yeah.
Just last evening, somebody was telling me, and they brought out that, oh, you've slept much lesser than me, and how come and you're telling me that you go rest. So I said, you have to understand, we have different capacity. So I acknowledge that because we are in a different capacity, you need more rest than I do at this point in time. So you get it, it's your right first. So let us not equate things. I think the biggest mistake we make is by equating things. Oh, this is equal to this. We are all different, our situations are different, which is why it's about understanding. But yes, can I be there? We all have the capacity to be there one day, someday. I think I will bring another perspective to a stress buster. So Vijay talked about how you can do it in your mind. Like, you change the perspective, you change your mindset, and you bust that stress. Vijay talked about how love, how coming together as a family, you'll be able to bust a lot of stress. If I look at my life, what is keeping me sane and actually helping me grow in these times? I am amazed when people talk about stress and pressure, and I'm thinking, oh, do I even have the time to be stressed? Uh, so what is it that's helping me and my family sustain and grow and thrive? Is seva. I think when we are governed by purpose and not performance, when we are living here not for success but for significance, what am I here for and what can I do to make it any better for another? Until my last breath, if I were governed by not what I'm going to achieve, not what I'm going to have, not what I will take along, because I will take nothing along. वो गाना तो सबको याद है ना, खाली हाथ आए थे हम खाली हाथ जाएंगे. So true, crude but true. The in between ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਰਾ time ਇੰਨੀ effort ਕਰਦੇ थे कि खाली इकट्ठा करना थे, like let me assemble more, let me gather more. But the moment you shift your perspective a little, and when I discovered it for myself, that there is a purpose I'm here for. And in every moment that I have been given, at every interface cross section of time and life, the only question that rides in my mind is, what can I do in this situation to make it any better than I receive it? What can I do to make it better for myself or for the others around me? And the moment COVID hit, our thoughts were about what can we do for people around us. So whether it is people in my family, whether it is people that I'm connected to, whether it's people who have been associated with me in my professional life, whether it is our community, whether it's humanity at large, what can we do for them? The moment we shifted this angle from me to us to we, there were so many choices, there was so much to do, and then our routines are more busier than they have ever been before. I think we are working much more, but how am I feeling? I think we all know that experience. We all know how it feels the moment your intersection with somebody, your connection with somebody brings a smile on their crying face. When you help somebody feel a little relief in their life, what do you feel at that moment? That satisfaction, that feeling of gratitude, I think is unparalleled. I think our biggest stress buster could be in this moment, that rather than becoming part of the problem, can I start becoming part of the solution for at least somebody? Can I start doing something that will make a difference to even one? I remember that amazing boy walking on the beach, and he would pick up a starfish and throw it back in the ocean. He would pick yet another starfish and throw it back in the ocean. And an old wise man standing there and saying, "What are you doing, you silly boy? What are you doing?" He says, I'm saving the starfish. He says, "Do you know how many starfish are lying on the beach? There are miles of ocean bed, and there are millions of starfish lying there. You cannot do anything much. You cannot make any difference." And this boy smiles at him. He picks up another starfish, picks it up and throws it back into the ocean. And he says, "I'm making a difference to this one." And that's all that matters. It doesn't matter how much of a difference, how big things, and will you be on Facebook and YouTube, and will you have million followers because you've done one thing, a photo खिंचवा के मैं ये दान कर रहा हूँ, and then I have a million followers. It's not about that. It's about making a difference to somebody and see what it does to you. And I can give you an example. Just before this webinar, we got a team of youth together, and they said, "We feel wasted, we feel burnt out, we feel we're doing nothing. It is such a horrible time." And just last evening, in the last 4 days, they have been at it. They have been gathering data. They have been collecting your understanding, what your challenges are. They've been inviting you to this webinar. And when last evening I was speaking to them, I said, "How do you feel today?" They said, "All that is gone. We don't feel purposeless. We don't feel we are wasting time. We don't feel depressed, upset. We don't feel we are losing the social contact. We are all there. It's come back, and all it took was changing the perspective from me to we. Can I make a difference?" Because each one of us has been inherently gifted with some unique ability. We can add to this ocean one bit, and I think that drop makes a difference. Let us start making that difference in whatever little ways we can.
Yeah, definitely. I think we should not be driven by quantities, that how much difference am I making.
Yeah.
Just be driven by quality. I mean, if people are attending today's webinar and they feel that they have learned something, maybe they can share it with their friends. Maybe if some friends of them calls them that I'm going to stay, they can give some reflection to them, like some difference. If
Right.
whatever we can make to our families, to our friends, that is enough for the time being.
Right.
Ashwat,
Absolutely.
I'll just take a moment, and I think whoever is watching this webinar, this live streaming right now, I think they should pat their own selves on their back. Right now, they could have made a choice. They could have been sitting in one corner. They could have cribbed. They could have complained. But the very fact that they have trusted us humble beings, they've trusted us, they've joined us assuming and hoping, and at the same time, we also hope that we've added some value, but they've trusted us hoping that they will learn something. And just that trust has forced them to take some action, and that action is that now they're watching this live.
Yeah.
And so that's why I believe that all of you who are watching this, you need to pat yourselves on your own back, because you've already started the action of trying to find a way out of this situation and trying to make it, trying to come strongly out of this.
Yeah, actually, the way out is the way in. I would say that.
Very true.
So, moving on to the next issues that we have, those are the addiction based questions. So, some of our viewers have written to us that how do we deal not being able to consume things that we were addicted to, like fast food, street food, or even alcohol? So can we talk about that? And also there's another set of questions that relate to it, is then there are new things that we are addicted to right now, like movies, series, and there are a hell lot of games, social media. And because this is keeping us occupied and busy throughout the day, at the end of the day we feel guilty. So we've discussed the guilt feeling before, and it's come back to again into the point here. So is Netflix and chill is leading to Netflix and guilt? So therefore, how do we get rid of these addictions, and how do we get away with this trap? Probably.
So, anyways, addictions
So,
are more. Sorry. Okay, go on, Karen.
no, please.
Now we'll have a fight over this. Addictions, anyways, are more psychological traps than anything else. It is a way to be able to escape certain things, whether it is food, whether it is a substance, whether it is screen, anything. We are trying to escape a reality by soaking ourselves into it. I'm not saying that let's not eat good food. Let's cook it. Let's make. I can see a lot of people inventing, and I think even at back home, we're trying to recreate good, healthy food, nutritious food. And I think these are opportunities to cash out. This is our moment to discover that whether I can learn to cook, or maybe I can learn to eat healthy, simple meals, healthy meals. Maybe this is time to rediscover, because we've been telling ourselves that's what I want. That's what I want, a healthy lifestyle. Maybe this is time for that. But the second thing also is the addictions that like but I would only recommend, please don't try making alcohol at home. Two people tried doing that, they are behind bars today. So be mindful, be aware. Even substance addiction has been about trying to run away from a reality to begin with. That's where it starts for most of us. You want to get a high in life, you want to escape some sadness and upsetness, and I understand that this is a very challenging time for them. Food also, binge eating was a stress buster for a lot of us, and that is where we are now uncomfortable. But right now, and the stress has increased for a lot of us, the perceived stress, like VG said, that the perception of stress has definitely increased for a lot of us. Our experience of stress has increased, and that is creating another additional problem, that I was anyways addicted, I was anyways using that as an escape route, and now when I don't have access to whatever I was addicted to, it's making me feel even more uncomfortable. But maybe this is that moment, this is that opportunity, because you don't have control over it. Maybe you want to rediscover the cause, you want to heal it from the root cause. I think all addicts, in whatever addictions we have, we all know it inherently that it's not healthy, it's not taking me anywhere, it's not a helpful thing to do. It's okay to consume something sometime, but when we get addicted, it will have a lot of impact. But the problem is, certain things are addictive by nature. जस्ट फॉर एग्जाम्पल, एक कुरकुरे या लेस का पैकेट खोलते ही हम सोचते तो हैं कि दो ही खाएंगे, लेकिन वो इनहेरेंटली उनमें कुछ ऐसे केमिकल्स डाले गए हैं कि नो वन कैन ईट जस्ट वन. Your hand will automatically go back into that packet and pull out the next one. They are addictive in nature, which is why it becomes very important that while you think एक दो से क्या फर्क पड़ता है, वो एक दो कब पूरा पैकेट, वो एक आधा ग्लास कब पूरी बोतल बन जाते हैं, नहीं पता चलता. इसलिए बहुत माइंडफुल और सेल्फ रेगुलेटेड रहना जरूरी है. उसके अलावा अब बहुत सारी हेल्दी ऑल्टरनेटिव्स चॉइसेस, लेट अस स्टार्ट रिप्लेसिंग. I have always been a believer of replacing and adding positive things to life rather than removing negative things. This is your time to add a lot of other positive things that you can, whether in terms of food, whether in terms of getting the balance back. And that balance is important. I think maybe we should take a couple of minutes and talk about that balance, the balance of body, mind, and soul. There is a tripod stand in our life. Our life is running on these three wheels. I like to call it the tricycle of my life. There are these three wheels. There is the body, there is the mind, and being led by the soul, which is the steering wheel, which is at the driver's seat. So these three wheels are part of my life. You take away one leg of the tripod stand, you take away one wheel of that tricycle, and that cycle cannot stand balanced. वो कहते हैं ना, साइकिल बाईसाइकिल तब तक ही सीधी रह सकती है जब तक चल रही है, जैसे रुकेगी वो गिर जाएगी. तो हमारी भी जिंदगी दो साइकिल, दो पहिए पे या एक पहिए पे चल रही थी, तो इसलिए क्योंकि वो भाग रहे थे तो शायद थोड़ी सी सीधी चल पा रही थी, लेकिन जब रुके ना, वो आउट ऑफ बैलेंस हो गई. सो लेट्स ब्रिंग बैक द बैलेंस इन लाइफ. Now, body, we all know. I think this is a no-brainer. This is common sense. Sleep, what you eat, what you put into your body. जो fuel डालेंगे वैसे ही कार चलेगी. सबको पता है high octane fuel will give you better performance, right? This is logic, common sense. So when you're eating, let us become mindful. Let us become aware. जब खाने लगे ना, ऐसे की कर दिया, खान लग गया, टीवी ऑन है, स्क्रीन ऑन है, या फोन पे गया, we don't even know what we ate, how much we ate. A lot of you would have forgotten by now सुबह क्या खाया था, because ध्यान ही नहीं रहता. I think one thing we need to learn is I do one thing at a time, and what I do, and I'm aware of what I'm doing. I bring my awareness and consciousness. When I eat. When I drink, I drink. When I watch TV, I watch TV. That's fine. But be where you are, be aware. So be mindful of what you're eating, how you will bring back. So the first thing we've done is now we're back to home eating, home cooked food. So we're mindful and aware that how we stay healthy, how we cook healthy. Secondly, your mind. Let us start developing our mind. Let us start focusing on how I can bring these mental shifts. Because our puri talk has been about that mental framework. There are lenses, and all we need to do is change the lens, and you'll see a world which will be different. We've seen that all your actions are coming from your thoughts, and if you are able to make a little bit of a shift, your life will change completely. So let us do something for our mind. And I'm happy to share with you that to take care of that, we're coming up with the Rahao course. The Rahao course is up from next week onwards, twice a week. We will have these 8 sessions where we are shaping mind. We are rewiring ourselves. We are upgrading the system. This is a good opportunity to upgrade the system. This is a good opportunity. The pause has already come, by the way. Life has paused, but now in that pause, let us not see it as an end. Let us see it as a small Rahao where I can shift my whole thinking process, and I can get and steer my life in a different direction, and I can create that bliss. I can find and rediscover the happiness that I have always been looking for but never found. I only found it very temporarily, as VG had pointed out. So this course is an 8 sessions course which will be live online, and twice a week, where we will relearn, we will reconnect with the energy within, and we will renew ourselves, so that the moment we are back new, updated. एक नया सॉफ्टवेयर अपडेट आता ना फोन का, we all immediately update. It is time to update ourselves. So take care of your mind and make sure you are doing something to reconnect and tap the energy, the potential within, which is your soul. By soul, I don't only mean that okay, now you have to become a bhagat, you have to I think we have always been seeing religion and spiritual and the soul together. We think the moment we think of spirituality, we think of certain practices. And maybe I will have to go to a temple and be running ghantiya. Maybe I will have to get up early in the morning, like Vijay said, and subah subah utke path karna hai. That's a stage where we will get to eventually. But there's a lot of energy lying within, which is your spiritual energy. And if our youngsters could get even a small chance to tap that energy, you have limitless power. And if you will read about any of the people you follow, the success mantra for any one of them, they have been able to tap that energy within. I think spirituality is not about finding and bowing down to a god outside there. I think it is all about reconnecting to that power within you. That's the spiritual framework we are wanting to create through Rahao course. So come and get your life back in balance. And I think whether it is an addiction of anything, the moment you'll have this balance right, your addictions are gone, because you are stable now and you are able to control, and your steering wheel is driven by purpose. So that balance will help us stay. No matter what times are there, we will stay controlled and calm.
Sure. Arjot, if I could also share my 2 cents about addiction now. Just like in mathematics, there are two signs. There is a plus and there is a minus. Now, similarly, we need to differentiate what type of addiction the person has. Now, I have worked with people, helping them get rid of their addiction of smoking, alcohol, and sometimes even saying certain things that they're not mindful of. Now, there are two types of addictions which require a plus and addictions which require a minus. When I say minus, for example, someone who watches 5 to 6 hours of Netflix or Amazon Prime every day, you want to bring that down, you want to reduce that. Now, when I say plus, someone who's used to drinking alcohol or someone who's used to maybe smoking a lot, you want to get them on the positive side of things. So that's a plus. Now, how do you address a plus? You need to understand why the person is doing what they're doing. Simon Sinek, a world-renowned speaker, says that you must know the why of things. So if someone is smoking, one of the people that I've worked with, he had substance abuse issues. So every time he used to speak to one particular person, he started smoking. So in the end, you are able to bring both the things together, that smoking is associated with the person speaking with someone else. So if you bring in that consciousness, this would automatically come down. So that's one way. Look at the why, look at the source for things that you want to get rid of. Now, on the other hand, there are certain addictions which are not very damaging. If you watch 4 or 5 hours on Netflix, it's not good. I'm not saying that you should, please. But it's not a very damaging addiction. So one thing that we can do to reduce that addiction is to take small baby steps at a time. For example, you will set a calendar that, all right, in a day, I will not watch online shows for more than 4 hours. I know this sounds a lot, but just assuming that a person watches it for 5 hours, you'll say, I won't watch it for more than 4 hours. Then when you get it to 4 hours, you bring it to 3.5, then to 3, then to 2.5, then to 2. Because then if you instantly tell a person, if you're watching 5 hours, बहुत ज़्यादा है, 1 घंटा करो, नहीं होगा. But 5 से 4, 4 से 3, 3 से 2, 2 से 1, step by step always works. So if it is something like a substance abuse, look at the source. Why is the person doing what they are doing? And if it's something which is not very damaging, but not a good habit to have, take small baby steps, bring it down. Thanks.
So like Avneet, when you talked about the tricycle of a life, the mind, body and soul thing, I think my people's manager has given a wonderful mantra to tap into that thing. In the sense, like Guru Nanak would always say, so the three basic principles of Sikhi, like Naam Japo, Kirat Karo, and Vand Ke Chako. This is a wonderful way of, servicing your tricycle of mind, body, and soul, especially in today's time, in these times of the lockdown. So take, for example, Naam Japo to begin with. Naam Japo is not just about sitting at a place and chanting a mantra. It is also taking the rahau, taking a pause and analyzing what exactly is going on in your mind, trying to understand your being, the thoughts that make you, trying to tap into that, and also chanting the mantra. So mantra chanting is done to align yourself to the positive energies. It is followed by Kirat Karo. So Kirat Karo before this day would have been do earn an honest living, do some job and get some bucks. Now it's more about doing something positive. Kirat Karo in this lockdown would be doing some things which have meaning. Like Avneet Pani just said, engage yourself in seva. Try to make better. Try to make this world a better place for someone else. Try to do something which engages you and brings out a positive perspective and a positive output for the society as a whole. And Vand Ke Chako. So there are people who are actually destitute, who do not have many resources. If we can help them, that's great. But being youth, take for example, if we do not have the resources to go out or help them out, still, if I can call someone up and give him a good piece of advice, if I can give them my time and just listen to them, even that would be Vandke Chako of my time. I think these three things are very important to help us through that cycle, with this tricycle, to keep the things aligned in the right direction. And secondly, I think I must clarify this thing that whenever we talk about the martyrs or the shaheeds or any great personality, it is not always that we want to become like them. So take, for example, if I give you an example from Bill Gates' life, following that example won't make you another Bill Gates. Just think about it. If it's a Pai Mani Singh or Pai Satidas ji, Pai Matidas ji, or Pai Taru Singh, or even Pai Veer Singh, or even Jagrat Singh in today's time, all these personalities are altogether different. They grew up with different mindset. They had every situation and circumstance which was different. We are not supposed to just be like them. What it gives me is a hope that yes, there is a possibility that we can see through desperate times into a light. So I would like to state it more like as, take for example, if I want to become like them, that is not my life's aim. What gives me pleasure in knowing about them, or what gives me satisfaction in knowing about them, is that all of these different personalities had one thing in common, which is their source. And the wonderful thing about their source is that the exact source which was available to them during those times, as it is available to all of us during this time. It is the Gurbani, it is Guru Nanak's wisdom, which is available as it was available with Bhai Taru Singh during that time. And it is for us to tap into it and look out for that hope. So during the last couple of weeks, Jasjeet Virji has been chasing me to start a project, to do something, and I'm telling him that I do not have time. And he's more like, how can you not have time? You're jobless. And I'm more like, I may be jobless, but not hopeless. This is this hope that my people's manager Guru Nanak has given me, which always keeps me engaged and look ahead, moving forward for a better time to come. And I think this is exactly the thing, the hope, which would help us. This hope, I mean, paired with our thoughts, is a sufficient weapon for us, a sufficient reason for us to come out of the addictions that we face in our life.
Yeah, definitely. I think we have a lot of different solutions to come out of the addictions that we are dealing with. And so we really have less times, but this one question that has to be addressed because it came to us from a lot of people, that is the issue of productivity, that we are feeling unproductive these days. There's a lot of procrastination happening, there's lack of motivation to do work. I think somewhere we've addressed these questions through other issues, because productivity is always related to things like stress and things like addictions and everything. But so can we say that is there a need to refine productivity today? It's redefine what productivity is. uh, how about throwing a perspective on that?
See, Arshad, productivity is again of two kinds. For someone who's working, productivity is something else. For someone who's maybe a young child, productivity is something else. Now the boundaries have been dissolved. Someone who's working from the workspace versus someone who's working from home, it's the same thing now. There is no start time, there is no end time.
Yeah.
Even the education sector has moved to online studies. So all the boundaries that separated one phase of your life from the other have been dissolved. Now, how do you ensure productivity in such a case? Now, one of the things that we need to understand is that we really can't do a lot of things, and we really can't do everything just because we have the time. For example, it's a wonderful line that I often quote, that just because you can make a good choice doesn't mean that you will make a good choice.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we are still humans. 25 दिनों में कुछ पहाड़ नहीं टूट गया. We haven't suddenly transformed into a great personality that we are saying, okay, now we will do 20 courses on Udemy, we will learn this, we will learn that. There are some people who are going to be exactly same when they step out of this quarantine thing, and that is perfectly okay. You don't have to upskill yourself. आपने झंडे नहीं काटने. I'll put this very bluntly. You don't have to turn the world upside down. Even if you come out of this phase with your mental space intact, you don't have to do great things. You don't have to achieve something, learn 20 things. Even if you can come out with the same space of mind, it is a job well done. However, if you are focusing on your productivity, I'll just say one simple thing. It is all about the goals that you are setting. अगर आपके गोल्स बहुत बड़े हैं, मुझे 10 चीजें करनी है, मैं 20 दिनों में, there are some people who do this, 21 दिनों में 21 किताबें, एंड में they barely cover 21 pages. किताबें तो छोड़ो, पढ़ने पड़ते हैं क्या. So please set reasonable goals. इंसानों वाले goals set करो. Do not get carried away. We have time. पर इंसान तो वही है ना. Remember, आपका time ज़्यादा है, but you are the same person. Make sure that your goals are proper, that you don't get over carried away and set up goals which are too ambitious. Set up proper goals, review them at the end of every day. Now, what can these goals be? आप चाहो तो आप बोलो मैं दिन में सिर्फ 10 पन्ने किताब पढ़ूंगा. That is a goal. You will say in a day I will maybe speak to 2 new friends that I haven't spoken to before. That is a goal. I will watch a half-an-hour educational documentary. That is a goal. I will maybe learn an online course. I will study for just 15 minutes. That is a goal. Because अगर आप रोज का 1 घंटे का रूटीन 7 दिन फॉलो करोगे, that will be better than एक दिन में 24 घंटे काम करना और अगले 6 दिन कुछ नहीं करना. So in order to ensure productivity, focus on consistency. And while you're focusing on consistency, set up goals that are small, doable, reasonable, and eventually you will see productivity will go by leaps and bounds.
I think Dalgona coffee is the new goal that everybody has. Yeah,
I could add a little perspective to that. You know what? By saying that I am being unproductive or productive, we're choosing to see ourselves as a product. It is, I'm not a product to begin with. Secondly, productivity किसकी measure करते हैं? मशीनों की. एक मशीन लगाते हैं ना, तो उसके देखते हैं कि 1 घंटे में कितना काम करके देगी, इसका आउटपुट क्या निकलेगा. I'm not a machine. I am not a product. I'm a being. And the being needs to learn to be. I think I could get up in the morning and say what, like I heard BG say goals, and I heard him say that, what do I want to create today? With this being, what do I want to create with this moment today, with this hour today, with this day today? What do I want to do with it? In every moment, if we were to ask ourselves, what do I want to create? And just be. And I think just learn and to accept that it's okay to not be giving results. Because I think bachpan say, whether it was the school system or, sorry to say, the corporate world, has taught me that you are a product and you better have become more efficient so that I can get more money out of you and investing into you. But I think it is a moment for us to take a rahau and help us see, I'm not a product, and I don't have to work like a machine. And I think that is where we are feeling so regretful, and maybe we're setting ourselves to goals and tasks which are not me. You know why you're not able to do something? I'll tell you a simple thing, because that's not what you want to create. You've heard it on the internet, you've heard 10 maestros and people you look up to saying, I do this, and you think, oh, that's exactly what I need to do to get there. But you know what? That's not your calling. Because had it been your calling, you would have done it by now anyway. If that was your core, that was your coming from your innate nature, you would have done it anyway. Just because you've not done it, it also somewhere says it's not who you are, it's who you are constantly trying to become, chasing somebody else's dreams, chasing somebody else's position. I think if we were to take a rahau and see who I am organically, but I can always be a better version of myself. My next moment, I can create a better me, because I'm a work in progress. I haven't arrived in life yet. So I can and that is why I think Guru Nanak chooses the word Sikh, because he's seeing it as an evolutionary process. You have never achieved enough. You can constantly working towards what you can grow. But I think this constant chase of becoming somebody else, पहले भी comparison में मर रहे थे, आज भी comparison में मर रहे हैं, और क्या output achieve करना है? I think अगर हमें खुश रहना आ जाए, isn't that going to be like VG so beautifully said, even if I can keep my mental sanity intact in this time or forever, I think we would have done the job well. I think let's focus on that. Let's focus on our well-being and not having come out of this and having become the next CEO. Yes, I can be constantly creating to improve myself. Constantly one step, baby step, a tortoise step or a hare step. You choose what pace you want to grow at. Keep working on yourself. I think stop comparing yourself. I think if you can take a little detox from looking at people's social posts, maybe that will do you good. Look inwards and see, how have I done any better from yesterday, from the past moment? Can I do in this moment what I think is important for me? And choose for yourself what part you want to grow in. Don't try to grow every dimension together. I think we can learn from the microorganisms. They choose to focus on one area of growth and they grow in that area. Then they recede there and they grow on the other area. Let's choose where I want to grow today. This is what I want to focus towards. To be honest, there are days when I'm doing not much, and there are days when I'm doing a lot of work. But I was asking myself that question: am I feeling unproductive on the days I don't do much? No, because then those days I gave myself a chance to just breathe, just be with my family, talking and doing nothing and just chilling, and that's fine. That's all right as well.
Well, yeah, so they say कि मतलब खुदा से दुआ ना मांगो तो बेहतर है, खुदा ना खास्ता पूरी हो जाए तो क्या करो. So all those people who used to seek time, कि किसी तरह time मिल जाए, अब they have abundance of it. Now they don't know what to do about it. So productivity for me, I think I would agree with Abhi and Harsimran Veer ji, it is more about improving yourself rather than adding more skills to you. So take for example, if you are in college and you want to learn about a particular subject and you feel like learning about it, go for it. Improving yourself with the skill set would be a set of productivity for you. If you are a professional and you think that something else would help you improve, you can also do that. But like our Simran Viji said, if you could just maintain your sanity through this period, I mean, that would be a great achievement for all of us. So productivity is just being a better version of yourself as far as I see it.
Thank you, Uchi. So there, can we take a very few questions that we have received from our live people? Let's just take one of these important questions, which I feel we have not addressed in the talk throughout. So that question is about vulnerability. Can we talk about vulnerability and its effect on our social life, good or bad?
I
Sure.
think VG's already addressed it
Ashutosh,
in a way. Sorry, carry on. Hasim, VG,
please,
carry on.
please. All right. All right. I was just saying that the times that we are living in, vulnerability is something which is being tested. Now we are setting up in air-conditioned homes. We've got all the facilities. Our refrigerators are locked up. There are people out on the roads who don't even have places to stay. They are traveling on rail tracks to get to the home villages. All of us are fighting our own battles. And the first step to coming out alive with a strong mindset out of this battle is to accept our vulnerability. In case we are feeling lonely, in case we are feeling helpless, in case we don't have someone to speak to, we can't share things. The first step is to accept that we are feeling that emotion.
Yeah.
Because until or unless we accept ourselves for our vulnerability, we won't really be able to find a way out of it. So vulnerability, the first step to get out of it is to please accept it. Ratandeep mentioned this word at the start, acceptance, a wonderful word indeed. That's the first thing that you need to do, accept it. And once you have accepted it, then you can look at all the things that we've already touched upon, whether it's goal setting, seva. Then you can look at all those things and try and figure a way out of this.
Yes, I am a vulnerable being, and let me just accept it. And I would say, come join Rahao. I think we will not only be discussing in Rahao. What we're doing is whatever we've talked about, we're trying to help you be able to add them to yourself. We're not just saying, okay, we need to do this, but I think the whole thing we're trying to achieve with Rahao is how do I do it? Like Viji said, I can make those decisions, I can make a good choice, but that does not mean I will make that good choice. I think this pause is to take take that leap from I know how to do it, from I am being able to do it. Something is missing, either it's the skill or the will. दोनों में से एक चीज मिसिंग होती है ना, इसीलिए शायद नहीं कर पाते हैं. We are trying to help you get the skill and help you see why and how it will be so critical. A step, that pause where you can just pause and transform your choice, make that choice and transform your life. So I'm looking forward to having all our youth go through an experience that most of us have not had the advantage to go through, and utilize this time to get the tricycle of your life back in action and utilize that power within. In the energy trapped in every single cell of yours, have you been able to utilize that energy? And if not, then let us make use of this course where we'll have a lot of discussion, where we will focus on building skills of how to do it. सच बोलना है ये बचपन से सुन रहे हैं, पर सच बोल के जो उसके repercussions है उसको डील कैसे करना है ये सिखाया किसी ने नहीं. दूसरों को हेल्प करना है, शेयरिंग इज केयरिंग, ये बचपन से सुन रहे हैं, लेकिन शेयर करने के लिए वो जो स्किल्स चाहिए और वो जो एबिलिटी, जो माइंडसेट चाहिए, वो कैसे नहीं पता. ये समझते हैं स्ट्रॉन्ग बनना है, फाइटर्स बनना है, पर वो फाइटर का क्या एटीट्यूड है वो नहीं पता. वी विल वर्क ऑन योर एटीट्यूड एंड योर स्किल्स so that we're able to take that lead. So come join us in Rahao. We're looking forward to meeting you all over there.
So I think we closing the discussion. We have already exceeded time.
Yes.
So I would really want to see all the viewers today that were there. Thank you all for joining us, and then we expect you to see in the Rahul course, because there's much more that we can take away from these discussions and acquire the skill of playing, this game of life with bliss. And so thank you all the panelists for joining us today. And I
thank you
really
to
want to
Arjun
thank
for
again.
helping us think through it. If I could also add, this is not a one-day series that we are starting. This is part of a long series, a long commitment of making a difference to somebody's life somewhere sitting in any part of the world. This will happen every Sunday evening, like today. And every week we will pick up another issue. So this time we picked up Let's Talk Life and in Quarantine. Next week, probably the topic will be around parenting, because I've been hearing a lot of parenting issues coming up, much more, escalating much more. It's been a tough job, but during this time, the job is even more challenged. So every week we will pick up one theme. You please feel free to write and send your questions to us. Next theme is parenting, so please feel free to send us those questions. Also suggest if there is a particular theme you would want us to talk about in specific, and we will keep coming up every week with a podcast, with a webinar to address those themes. So I look forward to seeing you all every Sunday as well.
And a very important thing that we have missed all through the discussion is that along with accepting the situation as is, I think we should be grateful for it also. We should be grateful for all we have. I mean, if you are in a lockdown, just thank God you have food to eat, because there are people who do not have it. If you are not in your home and you are in a hospital, thank God you're not dead yet. And if you are dead, then make sure you have done all those things that people don't thank God because you're dead.
Right. So we let us thank for this opportunity that we all have been blessed with. Thank you, Arjot, for taking us
Sure,
all through and so beautifully. Thanks a lot.
sure,
Thank you,
sure.
Harsimran Viji, for joining us
Thank
from
you.
Mumbai
Pleasure.
and putting our lives in perspective. I hope our viewers have been able to make some sense of the chaos that's around us. And I think it is only the chaos which brings the best out of people. I think another few months or few next year, this time we will look back at this date, this month, this year, and see it as the year of growth. The amount of growth we all will have during this time, probably the last 5 years or a decade would not have given us that kind of growth. That's my hope and that's my belief. Thank you so much for joining us,
Thank you.
everybody.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye bye.